A hotel keycard. That is what I am holding. Sitting in the passenger seat of my wife's car, 3 days after we buried my mother, turning a plastic rectangle between my fingers, the Marriott on Kenilworth, dated October 14th, the same day I sat across from a man in a gray suit and chose between satin and velvet lining for my mother's casket. My father opened the shop in 1989 with 2 chairs and a radio that only picked up AM stations. By the time I was old enough to sweep the floor, he had added a 3rd chair and upgraded to a boombox that one of his regulars gave him for Christmas. Harris & Son Barbershop. The & Son was aspirational. I was 6. But he meant it. He always meant what he said. I took over the shop 8 years ago, after his heart gave out in the same chair where he cut hair for 30 years. Chair number 1. Nobody sits in it now. Clients know. New ones figure it out when Reggie or I steer them to chairs 2 or 3 without explaining why. The shop is a gathering place, always has been. Guys come in for a cut and stay for 2 hours. Old men arguing about basketball. Teenagers getting their first real fade before homecoming. I give free cuts to every kid on the block before school picture day. My father did that, and stopping never occurred to me. I met Sarah at my cousin Terrence's wedding. We were both in the bridal party, me on his side, her on the bride's. She was wearing this deep green dress, and she laughed at something during the rehearsal dinner so hard she knocked over a glass of water. Didn't even flinch. Just grabbed a napkin and kept talking. I thought, that is the most relaxed person I have ever seen. We were together 3 years before I proposed. Married 7 years ago this past June. She moved into the duplex my parents left me. I lived in one unit. My mother lived in the other until she got sick. Sarah never complained about living next door to my mother. She was the one who said we should knock a doorway between the kitchens, so Mama did not have to walk outside to come eat with us. Everyone loved Sarah. My clients asked about her. My mother asked about her on days Sarah did not come by. She remembered birthdays, not just family, but neighbors, Reggie's kids, the woman who ran the laundromat 2 doors down from the shop. She organized my mother's care schedule during the last year, color-coded it, printed copies for every family member, filled Mama's pill organizer every Sunday like it was church. I wanted kids. I had wanted them for years. Sarah said we should wait until the shop was more stable. That was her framing, and I accepted it because I trusted her judgment. She had opinions, and I respected them, even the ones I did not fully understand. While I was staying late at the shop every Friday rebuilding the plumbing because I could not afford a contractor, Sarah was already 3 months into something with a man named Derek Cole. I did not know that yet. I was caulking pipe joints and texting her that I would bring home dinner. She was texting back a heart. My mother got her diagnosis 14 months ago. Pancreatic, the kind where the doctor does not talk about treatment options for very long. The last year of her life reorganized everything. I cut my client list in half. I was at the hospice room every morning before the shop opened and every night after it closed. Sarah was there too. She brought meals. She coordinated visitors. She sat with Mama when I could not. She was good at it. That is the part I need you to understand. She was genuinely good at it. Mama died on a Tuesday. We had buried her on a Saturday. 40 years of life in Charlotte packed into a church that could not hold everyone who showed up. Sarah stood next to me the entire service. She held my hand so tightly I could feel her pulse in her fingers. Or maybe that was mine. I did not know yet what she had been doing while I was planning a funeral. I did not know that the woman holding my hand had left the wake twice. I did not know about the Marriott. I did not know about Derek Cole, but someone did. My mother knew. She just did not live long enough to make me believe her. The first thing that felt wrong was small enough to miss. During Mama's last 2 weeks, when hospice had moved into the other unit, and the house smelled like antiseptic and lavender oil, Sarah would step out to take calls. "Work checking in," she said, every time. But she came back different, not upset or lighter, like she had stepped out of a heavy room and into somewhere that had nothing to do with dying. I noticed it the way you notice a sound you cannot identify. It registers, but you do not stop to figure out what it is. You're too tired, too focused on the thing that is actually breaking you. I told myself everyone grieves differently. Some people need a break from the weight. I was not going to judge my wife for needing 5 minutes away from a hospice room. Reggie said something 2 days before Mama passed. We were alone in the shop after close. He was cleaning his clippers and I was pretending to reconcile receipts, but really just sitting still for the first time in 16 hours. Reggie does not gossip. In 6 years of working next to me, he has never once repeated something a client said in his chair. So when he spoke, I listened. Sarah left the hospice for 2 hours on Tuesday. Said she had errands. I did not look up. She probably did. 2 hours, Nate. Reggie. He put his clippers down. I am just telling you what I saw. I said nothing else. He did not push it. But he did not take it back either. And Reggie only says things once when he means them permanently. I filed it away. Mama was dying. I did not have room for suspicion. I barely had room for grief. The day of the wake, Sarah stood in my mother's kitchen, the one she had insisted we connect to ours, and arrange platters for 60 people. She wore a black dress and my mother's pearl earrings, which Mama had given her the Christmas before. She was perfect. She was everywhere she was supposed to be, except for the 45 minutes she was not. While I was standing in a room full of people who had loved my mother for decades, shaking hands and accepting casseroles, and hearing the same stories I had heard my whole life told, like I was hearing them for the first time, Sarah stepped out. I assumed she needed air. She came back and slid her hand into mine just before I stood up to speak. Her fingers were cold. I thought it was the October air. 3 days after the funeral, I was cleaning out Mama's unit. The donation truck was coming at noon, and Sarah's car was blocking the driveway. I needed to move it. I went looking for her keys, found them on the counter, and realized I also needed the registration from the glove box. The insurance company needed the VIN for a policy update on the duplex. I opened the glove box. There was a hotel key card sitting on top of the registration folder. White plastic, Marriott logo, the Kenilworth location, which is 20 minutes from our house. The date printed on the little paper sleeve was October 14th. October 14th. I closed my eyes and did the math I did not want to do. October 14th was the day I went to the funeral home, The day I sat across from a man in a gray suit, and he asked me whether my mother would have preferred satin or velvet lining. I chose satin. It took me 45 minutes because I kept thinking she would have had an opinion, and I did not know what it was. Sarah said she had a dentist appointment that morning. I sat in the passenger seat of her car. I did not move. The donation truck was going to be there in an hour, and I was holding a plastic rectangle that weighed more than the casket. Then I did something I should not have had to do. Sarah tracks her mileage for work reimbursement. She keeps a log in the center console. I opened it. The Marriott on Kenilworth appeared 4 times in 2 months. 4 visits. Logged with the distance and date like everything else in her organized life. One of those dates was October 16th, the evening of the wake. She left my mother's wake, drove 11 miles to a hotel, and came back to hold my hand during the eulogy. I pulled up our credit card statement on my phone. My hands were steady, which surprised me. October 14th. There it was. A charge at a boutique on South Boulevard. $187. Time stamped 10:14 a.m. At 10:14 a.m. on October 14th, I was in the funeral home choosing between satin and velvet for my mother's coffin. At 10:14 a.m., Sarah was buying lingerie for a hotel room she would use that night. I put the phone down. I put the key card in my pocket. I closed the glove box. I sat there for another 10 minutes watching a squirrel cross the driveway like the world had not just changed shape around me. While I was choosing the lining for my mother's casket, my wife was choosing what to wear for another man. I do not have a metaphor for that. I do not think one exists. I walked back into Mama's unit. The kitchen still smelled like her. Not her perfume. Her kitchen. Cooking oil and cinnamon, and the lemon cleaner she used on the counters every morning. I stood where she used to stand at the stove making me breakfast every Saturday before the shop opened. My hand was in my pocket, holding the key card. Her pill organizer was gone. Sarah had cleaned it out the day after the funeral, but the spot where it sat, the corner of the counter near the window, still had a faint ring from the condensation of the glass she kept next to it. Sarah filled that organizer every Sunday. Every single Sunday, she sorted Mama's medications, labeled the compartments, and set it in that corner. She did this the same week she was driving to the Marriott. The refrigerator was humming. Nobody had turned it off. There was nothing in it anymore, but it was still running, keeping an empty box cold for no reason. I unplugged it. The kitchen went quiet. Just me and the counter and the lemon smell. I put the key card in my jacket pocket. I walked back to my unit. I did not call Sarah. I called Reggie. "You were right," I said. He was quiet for 3 seconds. Then, "What do you need?" "Time," I said, "and you not to say a word to anyone." Done. I hung up. I sat on my bed. I did not cry. I'm not saying that to sound tough. I'm saying it because the thing I was feeling was not sadness anymore. It was something quieter, something with edges. I had 2 weeks. The memorial dinner was already planned. 40 people. The shop. Mama's photo on the counter. Sarah had helped organize the catering. 2 weeks was enough. I know. I know you want to hear what happens at that dinner. But I desperately need 500 more subscribers because my landlord only accepts payment in YouTube subscriber counts, and I am 2 months behind. Subscribe so I do not get evicted. Now back to Nate. The first call I made was to a divorce attorney named Patricia Odom. Her office was in a strip mall between a nail salon and a tax preparer, which tells you nothing about how sharp she was. I told her what I had. She told me what I needed. The barbershop was my primary concern. My father built it. It passed to me through inheritance, not marital property. Patricia confirmed it was protected as long as the financials had never been commingled with joint accounts. 8 years of bookkeeping. I had done it all myself. Every receipt, every quarterly filing. Patricia looked at the records and said, "You're cleaner than most CPAs I work with." The shop was safe. She filed a preliminary separation agreement. I signed it in her office on a Wednesday afternoon, while Sarah thought I was meeting a plumbing supply vendor. I kept the signed copy in a folder inside the drop ceiling of the shop. Reggie knew where it was. Nobody else did. Then I did the research. Sarah's mileage log had Derek's name on 2 of the hotel reservations. She had not been careful because she never imagined I would look. Derek Cole. I searched public property records. Found an address in Ballantyne. Found the deed. 2 names. Derek Cole and Vanessa Cole. Vanessa. I wrote down her information. Full name, address, the deed reference number. I put it in the folder with the separation agreement. I did not contact her. Not yet. The hardest part was the 14 days of normal, eating dinner across from Sarah, watching television with her feet on my lap, listening to her talk about the memorial dinner menu. She wanted to make Mama's sweet potato pie recipe, and she asked me if I thought that would be too much. I said it sounded perfect. It did sound perfect. That was not a lie. Everything she did sounded perfect, which was the entire problem. 5 days before the dinner, I was sitting on the floor of Mama's empty unit at midnight. I could not sleep. I had been going over there at night just to sit in the dark and be somewhere that still smelled like her. Sarah found me. She came through the connecting doorway in her pajamas and did not say anything. She sat down next to me on the kitchen floor and put her head on my shoulder. "I miss her too, baby," she said. And she meant it. I know she meant it. Sarah loved my mother. That was real. The pill organizer was real. The care schedule was real. The pearl earrings she wore to the funeral were real. The hotel key card pressing against my ribs through my jacket pocket was also real. For a full minute, I almost believed the woman leaning against my shoulder and the woman at the Marriott were 2 different people. I almost asked her. The question was sitting right there behind my teeth. 1 word, and the whole plan collapses. 1 word, and I am just a man confronting his wife on a kitchen floor at midnight with no legal protection and no leverage and nothing but hurt. I put my arm around her. "I know," I said. We sat there for 20 minutes. I matched my breathing to hers. She fell asleep on my shoulder, and I carried her back to bed. I did not sleep that night. The memorial dinner was a Saturday. Tables set up between the barber chairs. White tablecloths Reggie's wife pressed that morning. Mama's photo on the counter next to chair number 1, the chair nobody sits in. 40 people packed into a shop built for 15. The smell of barbecue and pound cake and the same lemon cleaner Mama used, because I had mopped the floors with it that morning. Sarah had done the seating chart. She made place cards by hand. She was wearing the pearl earrings again. I stood up after the main course. tapped my glass. The room went quiet the way rooms do when they expect a toast. I thanked them all for coming. I said my mother spent 40 years in this neighborhood, and the fact that every chair was full told me she had spent those years right. I said she taught me that the people who show up for you tell you everything you need to know about who they are. I looked at Sarah. My wife left my mother's wake twice to take calls from the man she's been seeing for 8 months, I said. She came back and held my hand during the eulogy. She bought lingerie the morning I picked out my mother's casket. The room did not gasp. It just stopped. 40 people breathing and none of them making a sound. Sarah's face did not crumble. It froze, like a screen that stopped loading. She looked at me and said quietly, "Nate, not here." She would not have wanted me to wait, I said. I sat down. I was done. I did not need to say anything else. The room did the rest. I could hear the whispers start like a wave moving outward from our table. Sarah's coworker Janine put her hand over her mouth. Reggie did not move. He just watched, the way he does. Sarah stood up. She picked up her purse. She walked out of the shop without saying another word. The bell above the door rang behind her, which was a sound I had heard 10,000 times, and never once thought would mean what it meant that night. After the room cleared, slowly the way people leave when they do not know what to say, my Aunt Gloria found me wiping down the counter. She put her hand on mine and told me something that sat me down in chair number 1 for the first time since my father died. 3 months before Mama passed, she had asked Gloria a question. "Has Nate said anything about Sarah being different?" Mama noticed. She saw the energy shifts, the stepping out, the phone calls that pulled Sarah somewhere else. She brought it up to Sarah directly, gently, privately, the way she did everything. Sarah told my mother she was just stressed with work. Then she made Mama feel guilty for asking, told her she was being unfair. My mother, who was dying, who had 3 months left, who spent those months wondering whether she had wronged her daughter-in-law by asking a simple question. Let it go. She died carrying that question. Sarah let a dying woman feel guilty for being right. I sat in my father's chair, and I held that for a long time. Sarah moved out that weekend. She took her clothes, the KitchenAid mixer she came into the marriage with, and the pearl earrings. I did not argue about the earrings. Patricia told me not to. I wanted to argue about the earrings. The divorce filing went through clean. The shop was untouched. Patricia earned every dollar of her fee. I mailed Vanessa Cole a letter. Handwritten, dates, the hotel name, the mileage log entries. No editorializing. Just the facts because facts are enough when they are that specific. I have not heard back. I do not expect to. The letter was not for me. It was because someone should have told me. And no one did except a barber who knew when to speak, and a mother who was not believed. The shop is open 7 days a week now. I tell people I need the work. Reggie knows that is not the whole reason. The truth is, I do not know what to do with the other unit yet. It is empty. I go in there some nights and sit on the kitchen floor in the dark. I have not plugged the refrigerator back in. Some mornings I still reach for the counter where Mama's pill organizer used to be. The ring from the condensation glass is almost gone now. I have not decided whether I want it to fade or not. Well, here's my take. The man stood up at a memorial dinner for his mother. A woman who noticed the truth and was made to feel crazy for seeing it. And he said it out loud in front of everyone who mattered. You can argue about the venue. You can say the memorial was sacred and he turned it into something else. But his mother spent the last 3 months doubting her own instincts because Sarah told her she was being unfair. Nate did not just expose an affair. He confirmed what a dying woman already knew. He chose the room full of people who loved his mother because his mother deserved to be right in front of witnesses. The smartest move was the patience. 14 days of carrying a hotel key card in his jacket pocket and saying nothing. The letter to Vanessa was the cleanest thing he did. No drama, just the facts, because someone should have told him to, and nobody did. So let me ask you this. Was the memorial dinner the right place, or did Nate cross a line that his mother would not have wanted him to cross? Tell me in the comments. Make sure you're subscribed and click on the next story. It's on the screen right now.